Hi, everyone. Super Bowl champ Vernon Davis here from Legal Help Center. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up, because we have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. You can find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, Vernon. You heard it, folks. If you've been injured, call and find out how much you qualify for. Call 800-497-4410. Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori La Bey, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation, as usual, as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about dementia change. We will.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Open Mic on Alzheimer Speaks. I want to, again, thank our audience so much for being part of our community. We couldn't do the work we do without you. Your input, being guests on our show, your comments are just all so valuable. So I want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. For those of you that are new to Open Mic, it's available to anybody who has an opinion, a service, a product, or tool regarding dementia that they want to share. So just reach out to me at radio@alzheimerspeaks.com, and I can send you information about being a guest on the show. We just have one rule: got to be respectful. We can agree to disagree and have a good conversation. So don't be shy. I don't care if you're living with dementia, if you're a family member, if you're a professional, if you work for a government agency, everyone is welcome here. And so never, ever forget that. None of us can do this alone, and it takes all of us to really improve dementia care and move the needle from crisis to comfort. Second, I want to apologize. I've been kind of absent here more than usual. I try to be pretty timely normally, but I've been dealing with some family health issues and a passing of a loved one. And, that always takes priority, and it always will for me. So I hope you give me a little grace on that. But I've learned a ton through this process. And so I'm going to be developing several more resources to be able to help people out. I have not been a family caregiver for quite a while. My mom passed in 2014. And so this last year and a half, I've kind of stepped back into that role. And I have learned so much that has not changed, some that has gotten worse, some that has gotten better. But I will share that all with you to help you on your journey, along with several free downloads that will, I think, assist you in making your journey a little bit easier. But today on Alzheimer Speaks, we'll pull the curtain back here in just a minute and see who has something to share with us. But first, I always like to encourage people to go to alzheimerspeaks.com. We've been around since 2009. We have curated so many free educational resources, and I hope that you'll take advantage of those and share those with others that you know. And all you have to do is go to that tab, free educational resources, to find those. There you'll get things from the podcast to dementia chats, where people with dementia tell us what is working, what is not, what they would like to see, what they would like us to stop doing, to dementia in the arts, our poetry section, information on memory cafes and dementia-friendly communities, and so much more. So it costs you nothing. You don't have to develop an account. You don't have to worry about your information getting hacked, because I don't want that. I just want to help you. And that's all Alzheimer Speaks is about. Same with our sister company, Dementia Map. You can search for services, products, and tools around the world. Again, you don't need an account. We're not going to ask for any information from you. You've got 150 different categories you can search. And if you have a service, product, or tool you would like entered in there, just reach out to me. I can show you how to do that. We have both free and fee models available. And again, as long as you're doing good work, you are welcome. We do vet people to prevent scamming, but we always encourage people to do their own double checking as well, because things can change on a dime. So enough about us. Let's pull the curtain back and see who's there. Well, I can't wait to show you who is on the show today, because they are part of a wonderful organization called AlzAuthors. And so, Christy, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell our audience all about you and what's going on with AlzAuthors.
Oh, thank you, Lori. I'm so excited to be here. So my name's Christy Byrne Yates, and I am an AlzAuthor. So AlzAuthors is a group of writers who have written about dementia journeys from their own perspective, and our tagline is "We write stories to light the way for others." So I wrote a memoir, and it's kind of genre blending, a little bit of self-help book called "Building a Legacy of Love: Thriving in the Sandwich Generation." So I wrote about caring for both of my parents at the end of their lives. Both had dementia. My mother had Alzheimer's. My dad had vascular dementia. Meanwhile, I'm working full-time and raising 2 kids with my husband. So I was definitely a sandwich generation parent. So I have gone on to do a lot more in that space. I retired in 2021 after 20 some odd years as a school psychologist. So I kind of blend my understanding of families and children and human development, and now hard-won information on being a caregiver. But I, at that time, joined an organization called AlzAuthors, and it was fantastic, and I love this group. And so the founders of AlzAuthors are Marianne Shuko, Vicky Tapia, and Jean Lee, and they created this organization to promote the work of people writing about Alzheimer's or dementia from a personal perspective. And they started this 10 years ago. So this is our 10th anniversary. And after joining them as an author, I started doing some work, and I'm now part of their management team and on the board. So I co-host our podcast called Untangling Alzheimer's and Dementia with Marianne Shuko. And we are celebrating, as I said, 10 years. And so now we're doing a film fest for the last part of this year. So in September, October, November, December, each month we're going to have a film made by people who have an understanding of what it's like to be a caregiver, or to work with people who have Alzheimer's or dementia. And we're going to be putting those folks out there and showing their film, one a month. Actually, in September, we have 2. So we have 2 in September, 2 filmmakers, and each film is very unique and different. And we're going to you can sign up on our website at alzauthors.com, and then you'll be given some information about how to view these films in your home at your leisure. But each month we'll have a live recording with the filmmaker, so you can join in and talk to the actual filmmaker. And I think that's kind of cool. We did this once before, and it was really fun. It's fun to talk to the artist, the person who created this. So that's really what I wanted to share with everybody, is that our film festival is coming. Go to alzauthors.com, look at the website. We'll be having registration information soon, and would love to see a lot of people there.
Is there a limit to how many people you can have do that viewing with you?
I don't think so. And the viewing, we won't be doing the viewing together. This is the kind of the beauty of how we did it the last time we did a film together for our podcast. You get a link to see it in your own time. You can watch it ahead of time, and usually maybe a week after. And then there's the live recording of just talking to the filmmaker. So that's kind of the cool part, is that you're not stuck to, okay, I have to watch it this day at this time. But if you want to talk to the filmmaker and be part of the conversation, that is a specific time. But I think every movie, every film will be available for at least a month and maybe more. So it's different for each filmmaker how they can make them available. I mean, each filmmaker has, some are working with production companies that have specifics about how they can do that, and others have made it more accessible. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's on your own. You can get your own popcorn, your own treats, and watch the show.
Yep, and pause it and run to the bathroom.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And rewind to catch what you need to hear again. So I think that's kind of the cool part of it. So.
Oh, very fun. Well, and there's so many films that are coming out. I mean, when I stepped into this back in 2009, I mean, there really wasn't anything for Facebook pages, for groups. The AlzAuthors didn't exist. I mean, there was very few organizations or resources that people knew about. Films were like not even on the grid. Podcasts weren't on the grid back in the day.
Yeah.
That was, so it's changed a lot, and you guys have tapped into so many things. I believe now you have like over 400 authors.
Do you ever struggle with your prayer life, wondering what to pray or how to truly connect with God day to day? Introducing the Grace Daily Devotions app, your journey to deeper faith and personalized spiritual growth. Grace delivers daily devotions and prayers crafted just for you, based on what your heart and soul needs most. Experience devotional time and prayer like never before. Daily devotions made easy. No more searching, no more guessing, just grace, guidance, and growth at your fingertips using the latest technology. Download the Grace Daily Devotions app by going to graceapp.io. That's graceapp.io. Let grace inspire your prayer life. Start your journey now.
Definitely. And we promote the work of authors, but we also have other creators. Like we have filmmakers, and we have people who have their own podcast, or we have people who have done other kinds of work that promotes understanding this journey. And so, really proud of our group of authors that we have and creators, because like you said, it wasn't on the map, and now we just have. It's so much better when we talk about it. When we talk to other people, and I know in what I do now, working with individuals as a caregiver coach, or I do a lot of work with assisted living communities and with employee resource groups. I'll go in and do some workshopping around being a caregiver and working full time. People tell me over and over again, oh, that episode when you talked to this person about such and such made such a difference for me. It was just hearing somebody else having been down the same road I'm going. And it just feels like a group of friends, There's so many authors out there that we have that can really speak to very unique experiences. And I think it really runs the gamut. We have people who cared for a parent, cared for both parents, cared for a parent that they had a terrible relationship with, or maybe it was a spouse. And then we have authors who themselves had early onset diagnoses and still wrote about it. And those are some of the most moving books and really wonderful podcast episodes. So, it's what you do. It's bringing this to the people because it's so hidden in the shadows sometimes, or it used to be, and it's so nice, like you said, to see films coming out about this. And I think each of our films really speaks to a different aspect. Can I tell you about our filmmakers? I'll tell you who they are. Sure. In September, we'll start with Mary Crescenzo, and Mary is an artist and has been doing a lot of work in nursing homes and assisted living communities, memory care facilities, to use artwork to help people who are battling their own dementia. So she does some wonderful work artistically. And so she wrote a book called Planet A, and also wrote a play called Planet A, and it is little vignettes where the actor is speaking from the position of what someone who has dementia might be thinking or feeling or experiencing. So you get a chance to kind of hear the voice of someone acted out through an actor. So it's very theatrical and very artistic. And the second movie that we have in September is from Susie Singer Carter, who you may be familiar with. And she did a wonderful movie called My Mom and the Girl, and that was a wonderful film about her mother with Alzheimer's. This is more of a documentary, and it's looking at some of the problems that she experienced caring for her mother when she eventually had to have her mother in a nursing home, and discovering some of the real problems that are rampant in our memory care facilities and nursing homes and some of that. So it's more of an expose on some of the problems there. And I think it really calls to us about being vigilant and talking to our communities about how we're giving care, how money is being spent, and how, what policies are being adhered to, that kind of thing. So those are the two in September. In October,
I have a question for you. So is you said My Mom and the Girl, or is that the No Country
Yes.
for Old People?
I forgot to mention the title of the one we're actually showing is actually No Country for Old People. And it's available right now on Amazon Prime. So it's a 3-part documentary. So yes, thank you for pointing that out, because it isn't My Mom and the Girl. That's her previous movie, but we're going to be showing No Country for Old People. So, and Susie's amazing, and she's such an advocate for what's happening in the world right now in terms of care. So that's our September showings. And then in October, we have Frank Silverstein. And Frank is also a documentarian. And both of his parents had some form of dementia. And because film is his medium, documentary is his medium, he started filming his parents. And really, what a wonderful piece he put together. It's called Lousy, Love in the Time of Dementia. And it is about his parents, and it's about how they were living, about how he and his brother managed, but it's real footage about what it's like and how things start to progress and how does the caregiver respond. So that's October, and that's Frank Silverstein. And then in November, we have another person you may be familiar with, Lori, is Kitty Norton, and we'll be showing her wonderful film, Wine, Women, and Dementia. And it's really about the community that developed as she was caring for her mother, but then after her mother passed away from Alzheimer's, she went on the road and met with other people this community that she had built through Facebook, and met with other people, and it's funny, and it's poignant, and it's about community, and it's definitely about us sharing things. So that's a really cool one, I think, and that's November. And then we wrap it up finally with a Christmas movie called The Present, and it was written and directed by C. Nathan Brown, who has an organization called Expose Dementia, and it's the story of a family that's coming together for Christmas a year after they lost their mother to Alzheimer's. So how have their lives changed? How has dementia changed them? How has caregiving changed them? And I think that'll be a beautiful Christmas movie for us to see in December.
Oh, cool. Well, those all sound fabulous. I want to really watch Frank's film. I have not seen that one. And the December one, the others I have seen and are fabulous.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like you got just a wonderful lineup there. And it is fun when the audience can, hear from, the makers of the film or the actors in the film. I know I did that with a film called, used to be called His Neighbor Phil, and now it's called A Timeless Love. But they won't let us do anything online. That was one of the restrictions back in the day. But when we did our red carpet and people got to actually talk and meet, it just brings it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
For them to kind of see how things were made and what the actors learned from it. Because some may have actors, some may have actual people, depending on the film itself. And that's always interesting to see, along with the storyline of, what brought certain pieces kind of to life or were mandated to be in the film, what drew them from a heart level. Right. And those backstories are always so interesting, I think.
Oh, yeah. And I think, what we find and why we promote the work of authors is because whether it's fiction or nonfiction, someone's telling their story. And, that creative piece gets us thinking about our own life. And we find so many people come to when we've done book clubs, come to our book clubs and hear about how a person was journaling during their journey, and then that kind of evolved into a memoir. And I think that's what we see with some of these films. They're very personal. People were connected to what's happening in their life, and rather than they put it out in a film form. And I think that's just another medium that gets us to, really feel what it's like. And, you can feel so isolated when you're going through it. I know I did. I just felt really isolated. And what prompted me to write my book was I wanted to talk about things that I wish I'd been able to read in a book. I wrote the book I wish I'd had, because no one was talking about sandwich generation. No one was, and it was a lot, between my kids and my parents. And so that's what we find with a lot of our authors and now our filmmakers is this is it's a gift we're trying to give. It is definitely a purpose-driven sort of endeavor.
Well, I think part of, with both the written and the filmmakers, it's the authenticity. And like you said, it's the feeling people get, like somebody really understands what I'm going through, or even the learning of, oh, I didn't know that could be a possibility, or maybe that's a solution, or, I'm doing that and I really shouldn't be. And this is alternative to doing that. And that my mistakes are normal and I shouldn't beat myself up as deeply as I do. And all of those things are just the reassurance, I think, that we need to kind of shift our dementia care from that crisis to comfort mode.
Absolutely.
By sharing those real experiences. The medical model and the academic model are fine, but they miss the real life piece in so many aspects, or sometimes they touch on it, but they don't know how to say it in an authentic voice. Yes. And or there's all these references and it's like, get the references out of my way.
Right.
Help me live practically and graciously, with what's in front of us. And that's what I find I hear people say all the time is, I'm not alone.
Yes.
Somebody else understands this. And you think of each person that you touch, because there's millions of us that are touched by this, not only diagnosed, but, the ripple effect of the family and friends. And I still think those numbers are very underproduced.
Absolutely.
And realized. And, it also helps others share what they learn when they see kind of these role models, sharing their own stories and knowing the effect their story had on them. It makes people think, well, maybe my story can help somebody else too. That's one of the things I know with Dementia Map. We wanted to include everybody to share their resources on there. And there are so many family and people living with dementia, like you mentioned, that don't even see themselves as a resource because they're not an entity. Yet they are some of the most valued resources that we have. in my opinion.
Do you ever struggle with your prayer life, wondering what to pray or how to truly connect with God day to day? Introducing the Grace Daily Devotions app, your journey to deeper faith and personalized spiritual growth. Grace delivers daily devotions and prayers crafted just for you, based on what your heart and soul needs most. Experience devotional time and prayer like never before. Daily devotions made easy. No more searching, no more guessing, just grace, guidance, and growth at your fingertips using the latest technology. Download the Grace Daily Devotions app by going to graceapp.io. That's graceapp.io. Let grace inspire your prayer life. Start your journey now.
I agree, and I think that's one of the things I often say to folks is, first of all, I got to tell you, one of the things I often talk about is I can tell you what are some of the best practices. That doesn't mean I always use them, because I made lots of mistakes and I learned from them. But, so my book isn't like, hey, this is the recipe and do it this way. It's like, oh no, you're going to be human. And one of the first things you're going to realize is, yeah, you're going to screw up at times, and you're going to feel these feelings, and you're going to feel guilty about having these feelings, and yet those are normal and natural. And so have some grace for yourself. It's okay. You're not, it's about, learning along the way, because we're not educated to do everything we have to do. Sometimes we kind of learn along the way, and there's so many different nuances to everyone's experience of dementia. It's not like one experience, and the trajectory is different for so many different people. And so we have to just kind of have that grace with each other. And I do feel like things like support groups, right? When you hear from people who maybe aren't quote unquote experts, man, you get so much from that. You just get, it's community, and you get the realization of, yeah, I'm not alone. There's a lot of people going through this. And so I am encouraged that we are talking more about it, that we're seeing more stories about it in publications and it's kind of that phenomenon that happens when somebody puts an idea in your head, suddenly you start seeing it everywhere. And I got to tell you, I probably see stuff about dementia and Alzheimer's all over the place now, but it does feel like we're talking about it more and in a much more enlightened way.
Well, one of the things I'm going to mention, and you might disagree with my take on this, but what drives me nuts about best practices is those are chosen things that have been chosen to be researched. And there's a lot of great practices that are not best practices because no one's put the funding to do the research to get that take. And so what I hear from families sometimes is they're like, oh, I'm not doing it right because I should. No, that's not necessarily true. If it's working for you, it is a best practice, if it's working for you and your loved one. And so I have a hard time sometimes with the terms that we use out there for people. I mean, I look at all the, the social kind of prescription stuff that isn't considered a best practice because the research isn't there. But yet, like you mentioned, the support groups, the art activities, there's so many things that are so powerful and are life-changing for the person with dementia and their care partner that don't have that tag. And so I think for me, we have to be careful with that. It's just kind of like with person-centered care. I'm personally tired of hearing that term because I think it's overused and underdelivered. And I like relationship-based care. And I know there'll be people that don't like that. But to me, the whole circle of care is or should be encompassing the relationships that we have. Yeah. And so, I always tell people kind of rely on your gut.
Yes.
If it's working or not. But if that inner critic's yapping at you too strong, kick them to the curb. Say, you've got enough time in my head. But getting connected to those other resources like AlzAuthors and the support groups and, taking part in different events, reading different books, all of those things will help you realize there isn't one path.
No.
For one is not going to work for another. What works for you today might not work tomorrow or 10 minutes from now.
Exactly.
But be happy it worked for those 10 minutes.
Exactly. And, I don't disagree with you. And I know I did use the term best practice, but I have to tell you, when people ask me sometimes, and I'll be on different podcasts a lot of times for my own work, and they'll ask me for, well, what are the 5 things? And I really resisted coming up with 5 things you should do, or what are the 5 things? You got to have this, that's just very Instagram ready, isn't it? Here are my 5 things. But you know what? I really resisted that because of what you're saying. Everybody's situation is different. Like, even when people ask me to define the sandwich generation, it's different from, we have lots of different sandwiches is what I say. It's like a delicatessen, right? I mean, there's not one sandwich. There's a gazillion sandwiches, and you can even modify it from what the menu says. So really, do you feel squeezed? Pretty sure you're in a sandwich then. So we're okay. We got that. So, I mean, there's definitely the dynamic of when you are raising kids and doing the caregiving. There's some other things that come into that. But I did come up with 5 things, but it wasn't, they're very broad. It's more like guidelines, right? And that's my thing is you have to find what works for you. Mm-hmm. Now, clearly there are some things that are not great, like, you don't want to do anything that's abusive or harmful to anyone. But how you come up with how you interact with your person and how you do this, it's going to look different for a lot of different families. And that's why, for some families, in-home care is what's the best thing for you. For some people, that's not doable. For some people, it's, let's move everybody in together in one place. For other people, that's not doable. But you know what? There are great outcomes for pretty much any kind of thing you can see. And the outcomes come from what you're talking about, the relationship, the community. And it is about relationship. It's what kind of relationship you have with your person, and it's also what kind of relationship you have with the people around you, and then your relationship to yourself. How are you feeling about what you're doing? And you're stepping up to do something different than what you probably planned to do with your life right now. So, I certainly did not have being a sandwich generation mom on my bingo card, right? That was not where I planned it to be. And I had to step in and do it. And I was grateful that I had that opportunity. But at times I was like, geez, this is really hard.
I want to thank Christy Byrne Yates for being with us today and talking about the exciting times for AlzAuthors celebrating their 10th anniversary. Keep up the great work, gals. It's been fun to see you guys grow. They have over 400 authors now, one of which I can say I'm proud to be an AlzAuthor myself with my book, Betty the Bald Chicken, Lessons in How to Care. They have their own podcast and blog, but they also have a list of resources. And there you can find all kinds of additional support through their book collection, through upcoming resources themselves, through their AlzStores as well. And check out their events. Like she was saying, their upcoming events this fall, which is going to be featuring films about Alzheimer's. So you can just go to their website, AlzAuthors.com. And again, we always encourage you to check out Alzheimer's Speaks as well for all of our free educational resources, as well as our sister company, Dementia Map. Till next time, we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Attention seniors. Are you looking for a community that offers incredible benefits and stands up for your values? Look no further than AMAC. With an AMAC membership, you'll enjoy exclusive discounts on insurance, travel, dining, and shopping. Stay informed with 6 issues a year of our award-winning AMAC magazine, delivering trusted news and valuable insights. But that's not all. AMAC is committed to defending America's future by directly bringing the voices of our more than 2 million members to our elected officials. Join a community that cares about your needs and your values. For a limited time, we're offering a 1-year membership for only $1. Yes, Just $1 for a year of incredible benefits and advocacy. Don't wait. Take advantage of this special offer and join AMAC today. Visit amac.us/join now. That's amac.us/join now.